Hi, it's Wild Food UK out foraging again. It's the 22nd of April and we're in the heart of Shropshire out looking for these lovely mushrooms. Now, if you get down here and have a close look, give that a cut. Right, what we've got here, what we did have, is a lovely St George's mushroom. Now, you can see it's a bit deformed there. That's just where a blade of grass has kind of tied it down as it's growing. But generally you'll find these with a white roundish cap. They've got white gills and a white stem. They don't come from a sac or a vulva, and they don't have a bulbous base. That's important when you're out looking for any mushrooms. Mushrooms that come from a sac or have a bulbous base are often in the Amanita family, which contains probably most of the deadly poisonous mushrooms in the UK. This mushroom is one of our favourites because it comes up in spring and it comes up in large numbers. It's Calocybe gambosum, the St George's mushroom, named the St George's mushroom because it comes up around St George's Day. So first of all, as I said, white cap, which does get sun blushed and can be a little stained like this one. White stem and white gills. Now if I cut through the mushroom, you'll see all the flesh is white. It might discolour ever so slightly, but it will stay mainly white. Also, if you look there, you can see that the mushroom is mostly flesh. The gills are very small. They take up a small amount of vertical space on the mushroom. So that's two of the key identifying things for this mushroom already. First of all, it's up around St George's Day in spring when not many other mushrooms are. Secondly, it's mostly flesh with very little gills. Thirdly, it's going to be growing in this type of environment, grassy fields, verges. We find this mushroom a lot in towns and suburbs where the grass verges and greens are often at this time of year full of these kind of mushrooms. So you don't have to come out to the countryside to find them. So there you go, grassland, mostly flesh, and around St George's Day. Last thing is the smell. This mushroom has a very distinctive smell compared to ones that you get in the shops. It's stronger when you cut them, so by doing what I've just done, I've made the smell much stronger to help me identify it. And it's a bit of a mealy smell. It's described as mealy or sawdusty. Some people on our recent walks have said that they get hints of watermelon from it as well. I don't really get that, but you can tell from the descriptions it's a fairly distinctive smell. So when you find your mushroom, have a look at the base. If there's no sac, cut it, give it a smell, and if it's around St George's Day, then it is going to be a St George's mushroom. There's nothing else that grows in this environment with this smell at this time of year. So it's a safe one for us foragers without, a mycology degree to be able to pick. Now, this mushroom is a delicacy. You'll only really find it in the best restaurants or really fancy market stalls and food festivals, and it's very, very expensive. You'll pay 10 times as much for this mushroom as you will for your button mushrooms that you get from supermarkets, and that's mainly because they can't cultivate it. It's a mushroom that you can only really get from the wild. Now when you find them, you often find them in quite large quantities, and what we look for is the ring in the grass, which if you stand back a little bit and pan round, you should be able to see that there's a lovely ring of lush grass going round here. Further down, and I'll show you all the mushrooms in that ring in just a second, but the reason we've got this lush grass ring is because the mushroom lives underground. It grows in conjunction with the grass roots. It attaches itself to them in what's called a mycorrhizal relationship, and it feeds the grass, making it lusher, greener and healthier, and in return the mushroom takes sugars from the grass so that it can grow. And because of that, you can often see the ring of lush grass from much further away than you can see the mushroom. Eric and I, when we've been out foraging, we've seen rings in the grass of St George's mushrooms from nearly a quarter of a mile away on the other side of a valley. These are the sort of mushrooms you could go around in a hang glider and see them from the air because of the rings. It just makes them much more visible. I think out of all the mushrooms that we do collect, St George's mushrooms seem to promote the grass more than any others. There are a couple of other grassland mushrooms that will do the same. They're often all called fairy ring mushrooms. This is often called fairy ring, but what it is just the mushroom underground helping feed the grass. So if we come round, having a look around this ring, we've picked a mushroom there, but if we come round, there's another little patch of younger ones there. We're going to leave those, maybe take the biggest one, and round there's another little couple of mushrooms there. Moving on round here, a little baby, more there, and more here. So by following the ring round, if you can see it, you'll find all the mushrooms that this underground organism is producing. Don't pick them all. We want this mushroom to procreate, we want it to spread its seed, and it can only do that if we leave mushrooms there to spore. So we go by what the British Mycological Institute says, never take more than 1.7 kilos of any mushroom from anywhere, and that's purely so that the mushroom can procreate, because all we're seeing here, all this is the fruiting body of the mushroom, kind of like its apple. It's a really tasty mushroom. It's got a fairly distinct flavour, which is enhanced when you dry it. If you wanted to dry it, then you would slice it and air dry it just beside a fan or on a windowsill on a breezy day, and they dry fairly quickly, and you can store them for a very, very long time after they've dried. We've got some from last year, which we use for flavourings, because, as I say, the flavour becomes intensified after it's dried, and for things like, chicken and mushroom pies, it's perfect. I'm going to take these home today, and I'm going to make a nice mushroom frittata. So that's where this one's going, and where a couple more of these are going. But if you want to find out more about the St George's mushroom or any of the other edible mushrooms that we talk about, go to www.wildfooduk.com.